Are you looking for an accessible and a gentle way to help open the hips and soothe the mind? Today we're going to practice a pose that I think should help, butterfly pose. Welcome to Yoga with Carolynne. In this channel, you will gain the tools, the knowledge, and the confidence to practice yoga, no matter your size, your age, or your ability to touch your toes. So before we get started, if you are new to this channel, welcome. If you enjoy what we do today, I would very much love it if you gave it a big thumbs up and if you subscribed to the channel below. As you can see, as always, I've got a big pile of props beside me. So if you've got yoga props at home, grab them all. If you don't have any yoga props and you don't even have a yoga mat, you can still practice this pose and get the same benefits from it. You're gonna want two things to be able to practice this pose. One, you're gonna want a blanket, so grab a blanket or a towel. And then two, you're gonna want a yoga block. If you don't have a yoga block at home, then you can use a big book. I literally just found this dictionary on the bookshelf here in the house, and it works just fine because it's very similar in size. So grabbing those props, and then we'll start seated. I am gonna give you a few different modifications to come into this pose to make it more accessible for your body, depending on how you're feeling today. But before we come into the pose, we're gonna start seated. So I'm gonna suggest that you grab your blanket to start seated before even coming into the forward fold. This is a really nice way to prop your hips up a little bit and kind of tilt your pelvis forward, which will help eventually in the forward fold. So I'm gonna side turn just so that you can see what it looks like as opposed to just sitting on top of the blanket. You wanna kind of sit on it and then kind of scooch your hips forward, because that will tilt your pelvis forward. So you're almost not even on the blanket, you're just kind of on the edge, but that will help eventually when coming into the forward fold. So prop yourself up onto your blanket. So bringing the palms of the hands onto the knees, and then bringing your eyes to a close. Just giving yourself the first few moments here to arrive. So no matter what your day looks like after you're practicing this video, or whatever your day might have looked like before pressing play, all of that stuff will still be outside of the room at the end of this practice. So while you're here, give yourself permission to be here. As you feel your physical body kind of settle and nestle into this moment, as you feel your sits bones supported by that blanket and by the earth beneath you. And no matter how busy the mind might or might not be, a nice tool is to begin to bring your attention to your breath. First, by simply starting to pay attention to the inhales and the exhales. And gradually and slowly beginning to deepen and lengthen the breath. This forward fold is a yin pose. We do tend to hold yin poses for a certain period of time. And during that period of time, those deep inhales and deep exhales, especially in a forward fold, will definitely work to your advantage to be able to find that opening and also find that soothingness that you might be looking for. So taking one last deep inhale, one last exhale, let it go. And slowly make your way into the pose. So bringing your legs in front of you, bringing the soles of the feet together. So right away, you might come into the pose and your knees might be up a little high. That will not feel super good if they're just kind of hanging. So this is where you can bring your blocks and dictionary underneath of your knees. So that'll help support your knees. If your knees aren't too high and you don't feel like you need the blocks, then that's all good. So we'll come into it and then I'll show you different options as far as how you want to prop yourself up. So you definitely want to have quite a bit of space in between your groin and your heels. This is a nice big diamond shape. Grab hold of your shins, your ankles, or your feet, wherever your hands meet comfortably. Tuck your chin in just slightly and bring your gaze right in front of your toes. Take an inhale up the length of your spine, and then on the exhale, beginning to hinge at the hips to come forward. Once you feel like you can't really come forward any more comfortably, then you can let go of the clasp of the hands on the legs, open the palms up towards the sky, and then just let your head fall. Okay, so this is where you're going to begin to bring your props in. So as you can see, my head is just kind of dangling, and that's not so nice for the back of the neck. So this is where you can get really fancy with your props and building a little structure to support your forehead. So depending on how high or how close you are to your feet, this is where you might want to use your bolster if you've got a bolster. You can place a block on top of your feet and then bolster on top of that block, creating a little bit of a ramp for your chest and your forehead. So that's option one, to come all the way down and then just bringing one cheek down onto the bolster. If that's even not high enough, then you can play with having two blocks. Really make this pose work for you. Use the props to your advantage. So you're creating your little structure so that your forehead is supported. Palms are open towards the sky. Back of the neck is completely relaxed. Bring your eyes to a close. I'm going to hang out here for a few moments. So staying in the pose here, once again, just listening to my voice. Like I said before, those inhales and those exhales are really going to be beneficial here. So with every inhale, feeling your spine lengthen. And with every exhale, you're sinking into that space that you've created with your inhale. Leading with the heart, not the forehead. It's kind of funny, that's a funny metaphor for life, eh? Leading with your heart, not your head. If your mind begins to wander, remembering that you gave yourself permission to be here, so come back. So this is called butterfly pose. This is also, I've heard it called tortoise pose. I really love the symbolism behind this pose. As a turtle always has its shell on its back, and so it always has its home on its back, right? So at any point, if it wants, it can just kind of pop into its shell, into its home. So the symbolism that I really love to kind of remember as I'm practicing this pose myself when I'm at home or on my yoga mat is that when you're home, you are meant to be exactly, and you are welcome to be exactly as you are. As you sink into this shape, you're sinking into your body being your home. So it's simply just a reminder that you are perfect exactly the way that you are. Because you are already home. I know that's super corny, but maybe that was exactly what you needed to hear today. Enjoying this pose for one more inhale. And one more exhale. Come out of this pose. Palms of the hands come onto the floor as you gently bring yourself up. The head comes up last. Move that block out of the way. Being really gentle with your body here, bring the hands underneath the knees to bring the knees in. Extend the legs long, and a really nice counter pose to that forward fold is to bring the hands behind you, pressing into the hands and open the heart towards the sky. Releasing that, coming back into your comfortable seat. Closing your nice little mini practice, bringing the hands into heart center, closing the eyes. Taking a moment to thank yourself for showing up today. Taking one last inhale, one last exhale. Thank you so much for joining me. Namaste.